Welcome to the Strategies That Stack podcast. I'm your host, Victoria H. Boyd. I'm a corporate escapee and marketing consultant, and I'm on a mission to help you build a marketing strategy that is so stacked you become absolutely unignorable. Each week, I will bring you real stories, the actual data, and the true strategies that have propelled online creators and entrepreneurs to the top of their industries. So grab your coffee and let's jump in. Can social media ever truly be optional? Is it possible to leave social media not only as a user, but as a personal brand or a business? Last week, I was listening to Lindsay Hyatt's podcast on the death of social media as we know it, and it really got me thinking. But this concept of like social media dying, social media changing, social media being optional isn't really a new concept to me. And it's not a new concept to a lot of us. Kirsten Rowland, a $1 Million Email, has commonly used social media optional as a big part of her program promise that email can make you a millionaire and you don't need social media for it. But Lindsay's podcast really got me thinking about how social media has changed and what the future could look like without social media, or with social media being just a lesser part of my business personally. For a really long time, I tried so hard to resist the shifts and the changes that social media was going through. Oh, it's seasonal. Oh, people were off this weekend for the holiday. There must have been an algorithm shift. Some of it was true, but like honestly, I was just making excuses. And the truth is, things have changed, and it's now time that we all stop and read the writing on the wall as business owners that social media has changed and we have to change with it. So stick around to the end of this episode, and I'll be sharing how we can move forward with social media being optional or just simply being a lesser part of our business. For context, I have been in a social media management role or some sort of social media heavy role since I graduated high school. I've been offering social media management as a freelancer since 2016, and it's something that I've carried through all that time in my business. So I've seen the shifts, I've felt the algorithm changes, I've felt the expectation changes. And I think social media has changed a lot recently, and it's going to continue to change. And I say personally, my content consumption and content creation has also changed greatly. Personally, a couple years ago, I actually stopped posting on Instagram altogether, and I went to what I call a 9 grid or a social sales funnel. This year, I actually started posting on Instagram again, even though I did have a 9 grid up previously, because I needed to experiment with some different messaging and some different content. And I also needed to refresh that 9 grid anyway and really like mention my current offers. But it's hard to be motivated to post when your stories are seen by like nobody that actually follows you. And the reach on your feed content is abysmally low. Like it's just, there just isn't reach anymore on Instagram. You can't really rely on it as a way to promote your business. So I no longer scroll Instagram as much. I check stories and then I jump over to TikTok if I need a good doom scroll. I remember back in 2020 and 2021, you could just do a couple stories and you would sell out your offer that same day. And it really felt like a different time because it was. Looking to big social media names for advice on growing on Instagram really isn't a smart move. Whether they want to admit it or not, they're struggling too. And either way, they are likely playing in a completely different league than what you and I are facing. Something I really liked that Lindsay said in her episode about like this very topic of like looking at these big social media names that have a big following and are talking about how to grow their Instagram account is that they've already grown it. They don't need to continue thinking about growing it. And they haven't actually done that hard, deep work to differentiate themselves because they've already got it. Something else that we need to really acknowledge is that AI has really accelerated this shift in what we're experiencing on social media as business owners. Not all AI is bad. If you know me personally, you know that I love AI. You know that I spend a majority of my week playing with AI and specifically AI applications in marketing. But not everybody is doing a good job using and adapting to AI. And it's really caused content to flood the feed because it can be produced so quickly. And sometimes, if somebody really knows how to use it, it can be really convincing, which makes it harder to decipher AI versus human generated content. And generic content just isn't performing at all. People are sick of pain point marketing, but that is a whole different episode. Let's talk about some other downsides with social media right now. It's super crowded, the algorithm is controlled, and you have very little say in how content shows up for you as a user, as well as how your content is actually pushed out. It's a lot of ads and a lot of clickbait. It's a lot of low quality interactions. If you're getting engagement at all, your post reach is really low, especially organically. And if you're not running ads, it takes a lot of time to create content that like might not be getting you any results. And it isn't always effective in driving traffic where traffic counts, which is obviously your website and your sales pages, right? And all of this can obviously be really hard on your mental health if you're not careful. And this really got me thinking, like, what does it look like to step away from social media? So, sure, you might miss out on some things, but you also get to focus more on what moves the needle in your business or your life. You get some better mental health, less stress, deeper creativity, and a deeper exploration of that creativity, and hopefully higher quality leads and more deep connections and relationships. So, if we are looking to leave social media or just step back from social media in 2025, what does that look like? What do we need to think about? And how do we actually do that? Like, how do we move forward without social media? So, first, I think we need to establish like, what is it that's going to make you stand out amongst all the noise that is out there? And to be clear, I'm not currently looking to leave social media altogether. However, I am pivoting. I am shifting. I'm leaving Instagram. I'm not spending as much time on Instagram. I'm going to go back to some sort of a version of the social sales funnel that I talked about earlier in this episode, but I'm going to be like, spending more time on things like my podcast, YouTube, things like TikTok, and Threads, which Threads is still amazing, at least as the time of recording this episode. So here's what I want you to think about. What makes you stand out? Having substance, personal connection, lifestyle content, those three things right now are huge on social media. Doing what you love and really building your personal brand. People are going to be choosing to work with people that they know, that they love, that they respect. And that is something that can really make you stand out amongst all of the noise. So, what infrastructure do you really need in place to go social media optional, to step away from things like Facebook and Instagram? So, number one is a website, a killer website, because a website can act as a really consistent spot for your business. It's full of assets that you own. It's an asset that you can control. It keeps all of your stuff in one place, and you have the opportunity to do SEO and show up in searches. Number two is an email list where you can collect leads and connect with your audience, which what I love about email is that email is always really intentional. It's always a spot where you are talking directly to like one person, right? Like, yes, you're emailing to your entire list or a segment of your list, but that interaction, and if they reply to it, it's not like replying to a comment where it's just there. They're going to be sending you an email back. And it just has like this different, really intentional feel to it. And even if they don't open your email, them just seeing your subject line, them just seeing your name at least gives you that attention for even a fleeting moment. I heard this analogy the other day about social media where it's like you're screaming at passing by traffic, hoping that they stop and listen to what you have to say while you're standing amongst a whole bunch of other people that are screaming at that same traffic. And your email list is just not like that. Your email list is intentional, it's going to people that have decided they want to hear more from you. You also own your email list, which you can take with you to other platforms if you need to. And email is just amazing for sales. And number three is content, really good content and a really strong content strategy. You need a lead magnet or a regular newsletter to encourage people to sign up for. You need to show your personality. You need to build trust. And you need to really focus on attracting and being valuable to your people. Something else that I think needs to be mentioned is right now, like repurposing or remixing your content is really trendy and really powerful. But I think we need to think beyond just post and spray. Like we make content and then we're just putting it everywhere. We need to be evaluating what it looks like to have an omnipresent business in a way that goes beyond repurposing content or just cross posting. We really need to work on diversifying our overall marketing strategy, being really intentional about our top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel marketing efforts and what those look like based on our offers. And remembering that sales and quality relationships are truly the life force of our businesses, and they're not just vanity metrics. We're already seeing a renewed interest in different tactics like blogging and a heavy emphasis on long form content like podcasting and YouTube. Guest podcasting is becoming big again. People are focusing on getting on other people's shows. Summits. I personally host summits every year, but I also join summits. Pinterest, offer swaps, PR, and different media spots. And people are really going to be spending time building their relationships with their affiliates. So even if they choose to step back from social media, they will still have a social media presence through their affiliate relationships. So here's your challenge. I want you to take one step this week towards making social media a little less important in your business. Start that email list, write a blog post, update your sales page, reach out for a collaboration, something that just makes social media a little less important to you. And if you want more support in navigating this shift, don't forget to check out my Conversion Catalyst Club. The link is in the description below. Thanks for listening. And if you love this episode, I would be so appreciative if you would drop me a review on iTunes. It truly does mean the world.